What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the camera quality of the LG G4 to the Samsung Galaxy S6. Now we'll be looking at both the front and rear facing cameras and at images as well as video too. Do also look out for the audio icon in the corner of the screen, and that will indicate to you which device the audio is coming from, and I'll be switching between these two so you can get an idea of the differences in audio too. So we're currently indoors, we've got good light, and we're using the front facing cameras on both devices. What we're going to do now is we're going to head outdoors, test out the rear facing cameras, and then do some low light shots, and we'll also do some low light selfies because some of you like seeing those. Not sure why, but anyway. So do hit that thumbs up button and let's get straight to it. So now we're using the rear facing cameras on both devices. We're filming at 1080p. So this is the quality difference. These are capable of filming at 4K, which we'll switch to in a second. So let's just take a bit of a walk and test out the optical image stabilization. So these are both handheld, just to kind of give you a quick comparison of the OIS difference between these two. Now we're filming at full 4K on both devices, although this end video is going to be at 1080p. This is just to give you an idea that we can crop into these if needed. Let's go up a little bit closer to something as well so we can see how the autofocus works. So there you go. So this is at full 4K on both devices. So now we're indoors with the LG G4 and just testing out the autofocus, going from something that's far to something that's near, and it seems to be doing pretty well and really fast actually. Now with the same lighting here with the Samsung Galaxy S6, so moving from something that's far to something that's near, seems to also be doing pretty well. I'd say it's slightly slower than the G4, but the G4 does use laser autofocus, which doesn't rely that much on the light than the phase detection that the S6 does. So that was video. Now let's have a look at some images. So we're going to do this in the usual style where I'm not going to reveal initially which device which image has been taken from. You can decide which you like better, and then I will be doing a reveal. So we're going to start off with some selfies in good light. So we're doing a car selfie. This is your traditional SuperSaf TV car selfie. I think both are doing a great job. You've got lots of detail in both images. I do prefer the left hand side image a little bit more. I just think it's got a tad more detail compared to the right hand side image. And that's of the G4. We've got the S6 on the right hand side. Now the reason for that little bit more detail is because it's got an 8 megapixel front facing camera compared to the 5 megapixel front facing camera on the S6. So if we go in 100%, you can see that we've got a lot more detail on the G4. So that's really great to see. 8 megapixels on a front facing camera is great. Now let's move on to an indoor selfie in low light. Now I think both are doing okay for a low light image. I do prefer the right hand side image a little bit more. The back wall is white, so you can see the colors are a little bit more maintained there. You've got a little bit more detail on the face as well, whereas I think the left hand side image is blending it in a little bit more. You've got the G4 on the right hand side and the S6 on the left hand side. Now let's move on to an image outdoors in good light. Both are doing exceptionally well. These almost look like they've been taken on a DSLR. You've got some nice shallow depth of field and some awesome detail. Now personally I do prefer the right hand side image a little bit more. I think it's got a little bit more contrast, so it just pops a little bit better, but both are doing a great job. You've got the S6 on the right hand side and you've got the G4 on the left hand side. Now both of these have a 16 megapixel camera, so if we go in 100%, you can see you've got tons of detail. I mean, the fact that you can go in this much is just absolutely awesome on both cameras. So I would say both are awesome here for outdoor shots. Now an outdoor wide shot, I think both are doing great here once again. The left hand side image is a little bit warmer, the right hand side image is a little bit cooler. That will come down to your personal preference. I'm going to call this one a draw. You've got the S6 on the left hand side and the G4 on the right hand side. Now let's move on to an indoor image in good light. This is my nephew's birthday cake and it looks absolutely awesome on both images. I think that's partly down to the cake actually, but no, generally speaking, you've got lots of nice colors and detail in both images. I'm going to call this one a draw once again. You've got the S6 on the left hand side and the G4 on the right hand side. Now moving on to an image in low light indoors, and I think both are doing a decent job considering these are indoors. I do prefer the colors a little bit better on the right hand side compared to the left hand side image. The right hand side is the S6, the left hand side is the G4. Now finally, the flash test. I usually tend to avoid using a flash.
I think the left hand side image has washed it out a little bit more, so I do like the details on the right hand side image. Although it is very much on the warm side, it's a little bit yellow actually compared to the left hand side image, which is a bit too cool, so you know, it's a little bit confusing here. But the G4 is on the right hand side, the S6 is on the left hand side. So there we have it, the G4 versus the S6. Overall, I think both of these are great cameras and some of the best out there. I don't think you can go wrong with either of these smartphones. In terms of the cameras, they both produce some awesome images. Now for the front facing camera, I would give the edge to the G4 because of that additional detail. It does really go for really nice and sharp selfies. One thing that I forgot to mention is that the beauty face feature was switched off completely on both. By default this is on, but I switched it off completely on both sides so that we can measure proper detail without any interference, and I would give the edge to the G4. Now in terms of outdoors, I would say they're similar. There's slight differences in colors, but I think both do absolutely great outdoors in good light, and you've got some great results from the rear facing cameras. I would say it's a bit of a draw in terms of the rear facing cameras. In terms of autofocus, I would have to give the edge to the G4. That laser autofocus works really well, and it's definitely quicker, especially in low light compared to the S6. And in terms of audio, I would definitely give the edge to the S6. I think the audio was just that much more richer, and it had just that much more bass compared to the G4, which just sounded a little bit tinny in my opinion. So if you want to go back to the start and have a listen to the audio, I'm pretty sure you'll notice that the S6 is much better. That's what I think anyway. What do you think? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts, which one you think is better overall. And if you want to see more images from lots of different devices, then be sure to give me a follow on Instagram. I post images on there daily, so you can have a good idea of lots of different device images and how they perform in different situations. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe to the channel to see more camera comparisons like this. Some of the most detailed smartphone camera comparisons that you're going to find on YouTube. My previous related video will also be linked in the annotations, and you can also stay in touch with me over social media. The links will be here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.